Hi guys, I'm Shmee, hello and welcome back to the channel where you join me today for an update about the garage and what is next. Now the last complete overview I did was about 2.5 months ago, right when everything was getting very confusing. We didn't know what was going to be ahead, and in fact when I then uploaded the videos collecting my SLS Black Series from Munich, that was even more confusing because by that point the borders were closed and it would have been impossible to get there. But I'd like to talk a bit about travel today because this is probably going to be my last video, at least for the time being, filmed here in London, and that means I've got to do some errands and sort out a lot of things to do with the Shmeemobiles to make sure they're parked up, not really knowing when I'm going to be returning. I'll explain more about that later as we go about those tasks, but also about the imminent arrival of the next new Shmeemobile, the BMW M8 competition coupe that you will be seeing in the very near future. Today then, there's quite a lot to do, taking both of these out. I've got some stuff to take to storage, to the car storage, to get sorted as well. I'll explain all as we go, as well as some more updates on where I'm going, what I'm going to be doing, how this all works, and of course about the M8. Let's crack on then, there's a lot to do. The first topic to discuss is how come I'm not going to be back here in the foreseeable future. Well, we're going to be going over to Germany, and of course with current travel restrictions it is not possible to go abroad for holidays or for tourist reasons, but we do have a place out in Germany which just before all of this blew up we were getting ready to move. We do now have a legal obligation that we have to be there to sort some things out in person. We cannot postpone it any longer, and in line with regulations we are able to go there and do so. The upshot of that for me is it also means I can visit the Nürburgring, I can go and collect the BMW M8 in Munich, catch up with Ger Collector, visit some of the tuners like Manhart and Novatec. I think there's going to be some pretty cool stuff ahead, but it does mean I need to decide what to do with the cars. I'm going to be leaving the Red RS, the Heritage RS and the Supra here at home, which means they don't have access to trickle chargers, and fingers crossed they're going to be fine. I don't know if it'll be weeks or months before I'm back. Things I do need to get sorted out though. I took the Supra up to see the 675 LT and it now has some bug splats over the satin paintwork. That actually needs to be cleaned because if you leave them on satin paint they can stain and damage it over time. The other thing, come and have a look at this, in the Red RS at the moment, I'm just going to turn on the light because the boot of this car is currently stuffed with things that I need to go and put over in my storage. I've got some boxes, the Gokart is under here, a whole load of stuff that I need to put away. Some of the other cars over in the car storage at the moment also are filled with stuff that needs to be sorted out. So we're going to be taking both of these cars over. I'll just hop on board actually and get this fired up to go over to where the others are to start getting things to bring it into life, sorted out. So these two first, we'll take them out and go and crack on with everything that needs to be done. And there's a Lamborghini Huracan. I was going to say the first stop is to take the Supra to a car wash. We're going to go to H2O to get that done. Then we're going to take this car over to the storage to unload everything out of the back of it, and then go to the car storage facility to go and check on all of the cars and deal with a few things over there. It's a strange one when I don't know how long the cars are going to be sat. Obviously they need to be plugged into trickle chargers, they need to sit on their tyre cushions to make sure that the tyres don't get any flat spots. I want to make sure as well that every car has a full tank of fuel if possible, so that no fuel dissolves in the air that you have inside the fuel tank. Is always good. If it's going to be about 2 months, if it was going to be a year or something, it would be a bit different, but for this kind of length of time you want to leave them with full tanks if you can, and just generally make sure that everything is fine. Nothing needs to be taken away or serviced, I don't think, during the time that I'm going to be away for, but you never know, it's better to be safe than sorry, so there's a lot of things to just run over and check and make sure everything is completely in check. First stop then, you can see exactly what I meant around the front. You couldn't quite see all of the flies when we were at home, but those are not good for satin paintwork, so that's going to get a rinse down here at H2O, which is just doing a kind of skeleton stuff. We will hop back on board the Focus, which looks really nice under the lighting. In fact, for the future Shmuseum, I'm going to take inspiration from the lighting that they have here because it is absolutely awesome. So we'll take this over then, get the stuff emptied out, then come back for the Supra and then see what's what from there. More things stacked up in what is basically my treasure trove of random bits and pieces that one day are all going to go into the Shmuseum, and I can't wait to dig through all of this. There's so much cool stuff just buried in at the back. Arrived then at the car storage, and let me tell you a little bit about the plan. So first up, I need to get that out of the car, which is really very heavy. That's going to go into the back of the G63, and yes, that cover does look monumentally stupid over the top of the G63. I'm well aware of that, but it does stop anything going on the top of it, or anything leaking from any pipes or anything like that. So I'm going to pull the G63 out, which means a thunderous startup of that. Then all of the other cars, at the moment we've got the GT8, the Senna, the GT, the Lusso, the GT R Pro, and the SLS Black Series. All of those are going to need to be uncovered, trickled where applicable. The SLS is going to be going out to Germany with me, so that's going to be taken out of here later on. And yes, I guess I should get cracking, starting with the G63 to pull it forwards so that I can lift out and move over that, because basically this is a big box. I'm going to use it as a bit of a storage unit as well while I am gone for the next period. I don't have a fitted car cover for the G63 because normally it's out and about. I didn't really intend to leave it for quite so long, so it just has one of these kind of fairly cheap ones over the top of it. Still looking absolutely lovely, all cleaned up. In fact, recently I had all of the cars cleaned. You might have seen that, and they've not really been out since. So I need to, I mean, maybe I can even do this with the cover on top of it, to be honest. Just hop on board and fire it into life, he says. Have I got the key here? Yes, right. Let's have a listen then to starting up the beast of the G-Wagon. Let's do this. Okay, give me 1 second. Always a monster. I never need to get this on a trickle charger. You can't hear me. Perfect. I've not got much visibility in here. Now, I'm not gonna lie, this thing is massively heavy. It was my Christmas present. It's awesome fun, but oh gosh. Whew, I don't know how many kilos that is, but that's not fun. Now, the back of the G, with these seats folded down, has the advantage that they don't actually damage any of the leather, obviously the way the G is made. So I can kind of, get that up there. Whew. I'm out of breath. That's really, really heavy. But at least now it's safely inside here, and we'll load it up with a few more things as well. Time to get this plugged up then. After all of that, I've gone and taken the cover off the G anyway. I've now set up the charger with a car like this, if you're wondering what this is about. If you don't know how long you're going to drive it for, obviously this thing has all sorts of electronics, security systems and things like that, which mean that the battery will drain itself out, and therefore you want to plug it in to a charger on the battery so that when we come back it will still start. So I use the CTEC chargers here. I've got one for every single car basically. You need to work out for each car exactly the best way to do it. In this car you connect the positive terminal just there, you connect the negative onto that, and then you basically just put the wire inside and that's it. That car is now charging away. I always check it a little bit later on, but the lights are blinking down on the charger. And that's kind of how you can leave it. With all of the others, we need to do a ton of starting them all up so that we can just shuffle them out and then make sure they're all fitted properly. We will put them all onto their tyre cushions because given it's going to be a while, tyres, flat spots, you know, I don't know, it might be 3 months before I'm back here with these cars again, which is totally bizarre. So I guess it's going to be a one by one and just crack on and see what we can do. All of the covers are amusingly pulled back just temporarily, and one thing I was thinking about with the Senna is that it has the snorkel, the intake on the top. So we didn't exactly want to block that with the cover, just so it can get the air through. But let's come back to the Lusso, where step one is to get it onto the tyre cushions, the Coupe tyre cushions, which we have, by the way, in the Shmeemobile shop. You'll find a link about those down below. I've lined them up, I'm going to pull the car forwards, then try and get these pressed in, and then we're going to put the car back and basically put them on top. But the reason for this is just to even out the weight spread, so that you don't get the weight of the entire car on the concrete floor, meaning that the tyres have flat spots. And if it's going to be a couple of months, there is a realistic proposition that that could happen. So let me come around then to get this car started up, which as always is going to be fantastic. The thing I need first though is to go and get the car key. I'm back where we were, now with the Ferrari key. Let's hop on board then, get this brought into life. V12 startup, always one of the very best, as we heard recently when we went through the sounds of all of the Shmeemobiles. So one press to turn on the ignition, and then let's bring it into life. With the car shuffle forwards, basically you kind of line these up just behind the tyres, nice and easily like that, and then reverse it back and it will lift up onto them. All makes life pretty easy actually. You think at first that it takes some getting used to, but when you know what you're doing, you just do that and then reverse it back onto the tyre cushions. It's a bit of a process. For GT up next though, so I guess we're going through all the startups of pretty much, well, some of the Shmeemobiles now anyway. I've unplugged the trickle to make sure we don't have any issues with that, and we've got the cushions out. So let's crack on and get this one brought into life as well. It's Senna time, so head to the back and take a listen. The fifth and final car to pop up on the cushions, the AMG GT R Pro, because the G63 will stay as is. The SLS Black is going to be coming out to Germany, and I would love to bring this to the Nürburgring as well, but it's slightly less practical as a long distance car, and given we're driving over, I figured I'd take the newest edition, the SLS Black. So let's get this fired up then, shuffle this forwards, and do exactly the same just to get it up on the cushions, so that all is good when I do eventually get to drive it properly again. Who knows when? So let's get this fired up and crack on with this one. That part of the process is now complete, so the cars will all get covered up. We need to take the red as well to go and get the Supra to take those home, to get the Heritage to come back here to take the SLS home so it's ready to go to Germany. Yes, long story, I know there's a lot still technically to be done, but they are all parked back on their trickle chargers, all ready to be covered back up, which is all, I guess, a little bit like babysitting the cars right now, but just making sure that everything is in order, because there is nothing worse than coming back to an entire line of cars that have flat batteries. They are not cheap to replace if the batteries are toast. They are not very convenient as well to get them started up. Of course, they're in a garage here as part of the car storage where I keep them all. So let's crack on. Covers back on for now. Red, Supra, Heritage, SLS, lots to be done. I'm cruising on back. There is a Rolls-Royce Wraith just up in front, but I know over the last couple of months the videos have kind of been quite repetitive. I'm fully aware of that, but obviously I've not been able to visit places, test drive other cars, travel, so I had to come up with new ideas, and I hope that's been quite entertaining along the way. We won't be seeing much of the garage in the next couple of months though, sadly of course, and I've just realised as well that we do need to take the Supra via a fuel station because it's currently completely empty, so that's going to be the first stop. Then we'll swap, grab the Heritage, head back, get the SLS, so on and so forth. There's still more to come. I've just done a bit of moving around. We've now got the Heritage next to the Supra so that I can swap some stuff out of the Heritage into the red, which is going to park in one of the spaces that I've got on a lower level. We need to take out the Heritage to get some fuel into that as well, and when we do get over to the storage, I also need to tell you guys a bit more about the BMW M8, what's going to be happening with that, and some of my other plans over in Germany too. So I just need to do a little bit more swapping around, park all the cars into their right spaces, and take the Heritage back to get the SLS. I tell you what, it is quite strange getting out of the red and into the Heritage. They started life as the same car, but this is quite substantially different. You couldn't really compare them as the same thing. They're just totally different driving experiences. This, of course, does have the mount unit intake, which you can hear a little bit of, but overall it's a much more docile version. The red is super sensitive and twitchy. I need to actually drive them properly back to back to give kind of a fair comparison now that it's been, I guess, fully upgraded. And I would also love to get the red back out to the Nürburgring, but again, I don't know how to make that happen. Anyway, short drive back over to the storage. I'm back again with the Heritage then, joining some of the others. Now there are a couple of things I would like to talk about. The first is the Shmeemuseum, the future garage, which I have talked about almost endlessly. Now I had certainly hoped by this point that all of the cars would have found their way into a new location. Of course, with everything happening, going through legal documents, finding locations, having them surveyed, getting fit outs done, choosing things, it's all been totally impossible, and now I'm going away for a while, so that will have to wait. Unfortunately, believe me, I really want to find a special place, and I'm still very much looking. It's just going to take a little bit longer than I had planned. The other exciting thing though is of course to do with the M8 that has been waiting in Munich. As I announced recently when I told you guys the complete specification for it, the car has actually been sitting there since mid-March when it was built. At some point very soon then, when I get to Germany, of course after I've been there for a while, just settled in and got myself over to Munich, I will be able to collect it and bring it back home, and I cannot wait for that. I'm going to be using it a lot while I'm over in Germany, along with of course the SLS Black Series. Now the big plans with the SLS Black, now that it's got its silver wheels of course, are to take this to go and visit Renntech. There'll be some fun things in store about that I will announce very soon, and of course also to drive it on the Autobahn, plus around the Nürburgring Nordschleife, the Green Hell, which is open subject to specific rules which they've announced, and I will talk you guys through as well. So fun times ahead, that's for sure. The garage is going to have to wait just a touch longer, but for the moment I need to take the SLS then, well, where is it? Just over there, and get it back home to the garage ready for departure. And a bit of a change, the cars are all covered. Of course, we're going to take the Heritage back home, but all of the others under their covers, including the G63, trying its hardest to blend in. Yes, that cover is not big enough. The Ford GT is back under its awesome Goodwill car cover. I do need to pull it back down, but I just love that thing. It is super, super nice. But obviously I picked up some Topaz a short while ago, but that is now ready, more or less, to be left. Just make sure it's perfectly tucked, sitting of course on the tyre cushions. And you can find more about those and, like I said, the chargers and all of those kind of things in the Shmee 150 shop. For now then, I am going to head to the SLS Black Series. We'll be leaving all of these, sadly, but let me come around, get this fired up, take it back on home for the short little drive in advance of the very long drive that is going to follow. Climbing on in here then, let's get this car started up. V8 roars into life and head back on over to home. It is a very boring 30-mile-an-hour stretch to head back on into London, but I'm not going to bore you with all of the details about this car. There's a lot of opportunity to enjoy the drive as we head out to the Autobahns and the Nürburgring. It's maiden voyage for me on a long road trip, taking it back technically to where it came from. Don't forget, this car was originally delivered in Germany, hence why it is a left-hand drive car, so it will be right at home, and I'm very much looking forward to seeing what it's like on a longer run. The ride is pretty firm, but there's a decent amount of luggage. I say decent, you'll see when we start trying to pack luggage into the back, there's not a huge amount. And then it does that, which I think is going to be a lot of fun when I'm out on the road, even more in the future. Anyway, let's get this back home, and I think one or two last little things. The SLS is set and parked right now with those oh so cool gull-wing doors up, one of the most iconic design features of the SLS AMG and its sibling, the Black Series, linking back to the 1950s 300SL gull-wing, one of my favourite classic cars of all time. Now, I'm very much looking forward to getting on the road with this car, its first long-distance journey, although not exactly in the circumstances that we originally expected. In fact, when I bought the car only a couple of months ago, I thought by this point it already would have gone over to the USA, could have taken part in the Gumball 3000, and I would have been exploring with it for many miles already. Of course, things had to change, other trips had to be cancelled, events have been cancelled, there are much bigger things going on, but I'm looking forward to getting it over to Germany, even though even this isn't exactly the circumstances we originally intended. Like I said earlier, we have a legal obligation that we have to get to our apartment over in Germany. The guidelines do allow us to travel, we're authorised to do so, we've checked just about everywhere you can possibly imagine checking, and we've postponed it as long as we possibly could. The upshot though is that when I do get there and stay over there for a couple of months, there will be plenty more things to do as well around Germany and perhaps in other countries too, enjoying this car, enjoying many other cars. It just means the rest of the Shmeemobiles are going to be feeling a little bit unloved for the next few months. I don't entirely know what's going to happen. We'll have to see what the rules do here in the UK as well. It's all changing every 5 seconds. I'm just kind of going with the flow and seeing what happens. For now though, that is all from London, an update with all of the Shmeemobiles. I can't wait to get on the road in the SLS, and that is going to be coming very soon. So thank you very much for watching, guys. I appreciate your support as always, and I'll see you very, very soon. Cheers!